Hey, what's up guys? Ben Clark here for Adapt to Perform. In today's video I'm going to be going through my 6 most asked questions in regards to CBD oil. Alright then guys, so I'm often, asked about CBD oil. I've put out a couple of videos about it and I'm getting more and more questions about the thing all the time. So I thought I'd put out a video, sort of going through my 5 sort of major ones that I get asked about really. So the first one is, will I get high? And the simple answer is no. Like, CBD oil is designed, that it's taken the THC out of the marijuana and you're just left with the CBD, which is like the medical component of it. When the THC part of it, that's the part that gets you high as such, and the CBD is more like what is considered like the anti-inflammatory side of it. So no THC, no high. So it's quite a big misconception that CBD oil is just marijuana in an oil form. Now there are forms of that, and you can buy that, because some people want that, but there is the alternative, CBD without the THC. Question number 2, is it legal? Well, that's quite a difficult thing to say because yes, in some places it is, but in some places it isn't. Now, what you have to recognise with CBD is that it's, because it doesn't have that high component in it, it doesn't have that THC, it's not actually a drug that gets you, it doesn't have like a psychoactive component to it. So therefore it's not classified the same as marijuana. So if you're in a place, a country or a state or whatever, that does ban marijuana, it might not necessarily ban CBD. For example, I live in the UK and marijuana is classified as a Class A drug, that there's certain rules around that. But CBD oil isn't, it's derived from that sort of, plant, or that genome of plants or whatever it's called. And but it's like an extract, and it's taken out all the stuff that is the drug side of it, like when you think like a recreational side of it, and it's more into the, medicinal side of it. So the third question I often get is, what dosage should I buy? So you've probably seen it if you've looked into CBD oil a bit more. You see on the internet, you see lots of different ones. Like this has got a certain 1,000 millimeters. This one's got more. This one's got less. This one's got 10%. This one's got 20%. And it's quite a bit of a minefield, and there's not a massive amount of information out there. The problem is that this as an industry is quite new to the mainstream. So therefore, there isn't a lot of research on these things, like there is no, like when you go to the doctors and you get your prescription for a medication, they understand that, this is the right sort of amount you need to do this, and different things need different amounts. But the thing is with this, because it's not like a prescription medicine as of yet, there is no real standard around it, so we don't really know, and it's kind of that can be scary to some people, but it's one of those things that we have to sort of experiment ourselves. It's a risk, but to some people it is a risk worth taking. So when we talk about what dosage should we get, well, I feel why not start off small and build up. A lot of people jump in and go like, oh, it's really expensive for those expensive ones, and that's totally justified. It is very expensive. However, there are cheaper ones out there that have a smaller dosage, but obviously the smaller dosage might not be as effective necessarily to what you want. It might be completely ineffective, and then you might be put off by CBD oil for life because you spent this money on this thing and it hasn't worked, but maybe you're not even getting close. It might be like taking like, an eighth of a paracetamol, that's not really going to do the work that you want it to. You might need more. So, as I said, like, that's kind of an ambiguous answer, but it's kind of one of those things that you have to sort of experiment with yourself, and it's not cheap, and it's one of those things that, we just have to sort of figure out ourselves until there is sort of, the science-backed, evidence to say this is how much you should take if you're doing this. So my 4th most asked question is, what do I use? So the thing that I use is called a MediPen. It's a UK-based company. It's brought over from Europe and made here, but essentially what it is a vape instead. So the CBD oil comes in quite a few different forms, especially these days. There's loads of different things you can get. You can get the drops as normal. That's the ones you always see. Then there's other things like the vape, which is what I use. And then you can get ones like teas, or you can get CBD coffee, or you can get CBD infused food as well, which is kind of like, you know, they mix into the butter or something, because it makes, you know, cookies, or they can make sweets out of it. But I personally like the vape. The reason I like this is because I don't use it sort of as a base. Like, if I feel like if you're using drops, it has to be used, you know, through the day, and you use about the same amount each day, and it gives you sort of a baseline. But for me, I don't feel that was necessary as such. I need something like, because I'm using it for spasms in my legs, because I've got the spinal cord injury, it's more one of those things that I need it for, you know, oh, I'm getting spasms now, I need a kind of an instant hit sort of thing. And with a vape, because it's coming in through the lungs, in the circulatory system, that's quite a quick way of getting in. You know, it doesn't have to go through the whole entire digestive system down into the small intestine to be ingested into my system and to get working. It's being breathed in, it's sort of getting into the bloodstream straight away, you know, getting all that goodness in me as soon as I need it, basically. So I'm getting that quick action, you know, rather than waiting, you know, half an hour for it to kick in. I'm getting it within that first sort of minute or two, which is exactly what I wanted it for. I don't want to be using it as a medication all the time. I want to have it when I need it, sort of thing. So therefore, I'm not totally reliant on it, you know. And if I don't take it, it's not the end of the world. But if I do have it, then it's helping me in that situation quickly. So that's what I use. To say it's MediPen. There are other companies that do vape. This is one that it comes in a system. I found that it's fairly cheap as well in comparison to the drops, because you don't need I felt like I didn't need as much of that to make it as effective. So yeah, it's all about experimenting what works for you. You might think that, you know, the vaping is horrible, you know, it's clogging up my lungs or whatever, but, you know, I agree, like, I would rather not vape if I had to, but the fact that it works super quick is exactly what I need it for, and I'm not using it all the time, so it's not as that bad. And the last one is, how often do I use this? You know, like, should I be doing it every day? Should I be doing it like just when I need it or whatever? And so again, like, I use it when I need to use it. You know, that is what works for me, and you should do really what works for you. You know, this is all about helping you and that. But there is some evidence to back, you know, that having, you know, the same amount every single day doesn't necessarily build up a tolerance like you would with some drugs. It actually sort of builds up a base level, and it's sort of like, you know, you're actually getting that effect better because of you're doing it longer over time, you know. So you don't need to, like, there are some medications you need to cycle on and off and on and off, you know, something like caffeine, not that that's a medication, but, you know, it's a stimulant, and, you know, you come on and off it to get the maximum effect out of it. You know, if you take the same amount of caffeine every day, you get sort of used to it. Yeah, based on the evidence that I read, like, it's one of these things where it's more like, if you're taking the same amount every day, it doesn't, like, increase exponentially, but, you know, you've got a better response to things that you need it to do, like anti-inflammatory and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily a thing that you have to worry about too much about, you know, that side of it, like how often you should use it. More finding, like, what works for you. It sounds like ambiguous, and you might not even be the answer that you want, but it's an answer that, you know, you need to figure out for yourself. And, you know, that is kind of a pain, but it's a new thing. It's very exciting because it's helping so many people out, but these new things, it takes time before it becomes a thing that you can just find out really easily. There you go, guys. That was my video on the 5 questions I'm asked most about CBD oil. I really hope that helped maybe answer some questions you had. If it didn't, you know, if there's more you want to know, and if I know it, just please, you know, ask me down below. And if I do know it, then yeah, I'm more than happy to answer, or I can at least point you in the right direction. I really hope you enjoyed that video, guys. I don't know how many more CBD videos I'm going to do. They've done quite well, but, you know, I do tend to stick to, like, more fitness stuff. But hey, if you guys like it, then I'm more than happy to make some more of them. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time.